So I'm going to tell you about my life story, but before my life began. And that's when my parents met in Lakeland High School, and that's in Ohio. Lakeland High School has middle school and high school combined, and my mom was in 7th grade at the time, and my dad was in 9th grade. It's a really tiny town surrounding, so not many kids went to the school. And the weird part is, like, they all had lockers beside each other. So my dad was only like 2 lockers down from my mom, and that's how they first met. So every day they'd see each other, and I guess they started to like each other and talk every day. The other man I'm drawing will come into play later on in my life, which is also weird. 2 men, a few lockers down from my mom, both end up in my life. So crazy to think about, but interesting as well. So when my parents started dating, became more serious, they decided to elope when my mom was 19, so my dad was probably like 21, and he wrote actually on a napkin pretty much, "Dear Mom, sorry but I left to elope Linda, love your son." And my grandma saw that later on, and as you can imagine, as any parent, she was not so excited to see the note, because getting married is a big part of someone's life, and since she wasn't really giving her blessing for him to get married already, they decided to do it by themselves. So they ran off, and my grandma was not the happiest person, so I drew her freaking out, which she probably did. I'm not exactly sure what they wore to their wedding. I'm sure it was at the city hall or wherever people elope at. I doubt my mom wore a wedding dress to her wedding since they eloped, but maybe they did. I don't really know the details, which you'll know why later on when I get to that point in my life. But she did wear a wedding dress. I bet it was beautiful, because she was always beautiful. So yes, I realize I'm drawing my dad with an afro, but that's because he had one. Well, he still would have one if he let his hair grow out longer. But yeah, he's white, but he had a big afro back in the day. I would have made it bigger, but I feel like it would have looked weird with my drawing skills. But he was also, and is, a handsome man. I know a few people who think that he's handsome, so sometimes that gets a little awkward. But yeah, they said their I do's, and they got married, and were very happy. Then 2 years later, they were pregnant with my oldest sister, Lauren. They named her Lauren Marie, and they they loved her. She was a bald baby, and they're very happy. There were no complications, I don't believe, with the birth. And then they got pregnant with baby number 2, which was me. My sister loved the attention. She always wanted to be a center of attention, so I kind of ruined that when I came into play. And I was born 2 years after my sister, so she was 2. And they called me Lisa Michelle. That way, my sister, my mom, and I would be sharing the same initials. And if you flip-flopped my dad's first initial with his middle initial, we also shared initials. And also, I had hair as a baby, so my sister was bald, so I had that. I one-upped her, kind of. But we were both cute. Money was an issue, and my parents got help from my mom's parents, which is Mamita, which is my grandma and my grandpa, and they helped buy the house that was on the ropes course land, which is what my grandpa used for counseling. So it was half log cabin and half house. And they're getting unhappy. They're becoming unhappy with each other. They're fighting a lot. And they decided before I was even 9 months old that they were going to have a divorce. I asked my dad now if he remembers why they got a divorce, and he can't even remember. And he says that he thinks that if they tried to get it fixed, that they wouldn't have gotten a divorce. So that makes me sad. And with the divorce, they shared custody. So I believe it was every other weekend we'd go live with my dad, so we didn't see him as much. And I'd cry because I'd be missing Mom when I was over there. So I kind of feel bad about that now. And after they got divorced, that other boy at the lockers that I mentioned, my mom started dating him. Which, 6 years later, that boy at the lockers that I mentioned, my mom started dating him and married him. And he had a son already with his ex-wife. And his son was named Ethan, and his name was Rick. And we moved in with them, and he had a Dalmatian. That dog was pretty cool. We used to get Ethan, my sister, and I used to get along pretty well. And then he started turning into his father. Little did we know. Rick was abusive, and he threw me, and my head hit the wall, and my back landed on a plug, so the metal prongs went into my back, and I started to immediately cry. And my mom couldn't do anything at that point because he would just hurt her. So I'm not angry at her. I don't have any hard feelings whatsoever towards her because there's nothing that she could do. But no worries. I got my revenge, and I kicked him in the balls. But he hit me a few times. And he has done mean things. And he also did that to his own son. And that's the kind of role model his son had. So that wasn't good. My mom was pregnant with her third child. And my stepdad Rick, he was a smoker and gambler, and he drank, and he liked using the money for those things. And one day, we were in the stairwell, and Ethan punched me in my throat, and it hurt really bad, and I started to cry. And I was still only 6 at that time. So my sister helped me get revenge, and she held him against the wall, and I got to punch him in the throat because it hurt. So then we told our mom, and Rick gave us the option of either having Ethan move out and live with his mom, or have him live with us. And since he was having violent tendencies, I suggested him live with his mom. And plus, he always talked about how he loved living with his mom more anyways. But later on in life, he went back to Rick, and then the cycle began again. But that's not my story to tell. So there's Rick sitting with all his buddies, smoking and drinking and gambling the money away. I mean, he was rich, but he was very controlling. He wouldn't even let my mom buy my sister and I gifts. They all had to be from him. And one day she came home. I think we all went to a department store, and there were these stuffed Pokemon animals, and I was so excited. And I really wanted the Charmander because Charmander is my favorite. And she asked me which one I wanted, so I said Charmander. And she said, okay, so she got it for me, and we had home, and she said, make sure you hide this from Rick because he won't let you have it. So I stuffed him between my bed and my wall, and to this day he still doesn't know I have the Charmander. So Charmander is now 15 years old. A few months later, my mom was giving birth at Mercy Hospital, and there were some complications. This was her third birth, so usually people have the hang of it by then, but we think that maybe the doctor, well, we don't know what really happened. I don't really know. They kind of kept me in the dark, but pretty much the doctor said she's hemorrhaging internally, and they realized that they were losing her, and they did everything they could to save her, but they couldn't. The baby lived, but my mom died. My sister and I were the last ones to know that our mother passed away, which you'd think that we'd be like one of the first few people to know, but our cousins knew, and they were our same age, and Rick said it was to protect us. I lost my mom Well, I lost my grandpa first, and then I lost my best friend, and I lost my mom, all within 31 days of each other. It was a really rough year. I was only 6. My sister was 9. She just turned 9. So it wasn't a great month for her either. So after our mom passed, we went to live with our dad, who was very welcoming, and he treated us as equals, so my sister didn't have to worry about fighting for attention, so she liked that a lot. And he got remarried. The barrier is to show that there's always some tension there. So when we moved in, my stepmom and my sister, my stepmom clashed with my sister and I. She was very controlling and wanted everything done her way. And us being us, we wanted to do what we wanted. And we were used to our dad, who never yelled at us and was very accommodating, and she just couldn't handle it. She even took my door down once because I had my fan on. But some people say it's maybe because she was jealous of dads in our relationship, because we'd always be laughing. But I don't know, just seemed like she had a negative attitude a lot. My sister and I, we were partners in crime. And even when I didn't do any part of the crime, I'd still get in trouble with her. Because if she did something, then I must have known. So I'd get grounded for months as well. So we're going to fast forward about 11 years. So this is my second car. My first car, after 6 months, actually died. And so I bought this car off of my stepmom for a great price. Surprisingly, it was a really good price. And we were headed off to college, all the way in Indiana from New Jersey. And my dad came with me because it was my first year, and I didn't really know what to do, so he was helping me move. Bye, New Jersey. Hello, Indiana. So in college, I first started off with marketing, and I'd have really late nights and barely any social life. And I'd be studying so hard because I didn't understand the accounting. I didn't remember how to do the math. And the assignments would take forever, and it was making me grouchy and frustrated and exhausted. And there would be times where I'd hold up to 2 jobs at once while being a full-time student. So I was thinking about, is college really worth it? Like, should I just drop out? It's causing me way too much stress. I didn't know if I was going to make it. So after double majoring for like 2.5 years in psychology and marketing, I dropped marketing because I decided that my GPA wasn't worth it to suffer. I needed to get into grad school. My grades started to rise, and I really started enjoying my classes a lot more. I was happy that I passed all my classes and finals. I got my own place with 2 friends, and I have the turtles, but I'll talk about that later. That's why I have the little turtles drawn. I named them Raphael and Michelangelo off of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and if you don't know what that is, that's just sad, and you need to YouTube that out immediately. My junior year, by this time I had a lot of good friends, and they got me through a lot of tough stuff. That was also the year I decided to drop marketing, near the end of the first semester. And so then I met this guy named David, and we were eating lunch with the rest of our guy friends. It's called the Noi Boys, or whatever they say. And I put on his glasses, and I said, I have to take a picture with the guy that I'm wearing his glasses. So we did that, and then we started hanging out every day. So that was pretty cool. And we literally just thought of each other as friends. So every night we'd be sitting on the couches in the lounge doing homework, watching TV. That Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Friends are always on usually, so that was exciting. And we found out we both had flat noses, which is uncommon. I didn't realize it was uncommon, but he said that was the first person he met that had a flat nose. So that's pretty cool. I like to tease him and say I have a flatter nose. Not quite sure if that's real or not, but I'm just gonna keep saying it's true. I also like to touch my nose a lot, but that's not related to the flat nose thing. I just like doing it, and when I touch my nose, people are supposed to touch their own noses back. I don't know why. And he wears hats every day. There is not a day that you don't see him with a hat on. So after a while we started dating, and 1 year later, it's my senior year, still dating, and I have my own apartment that I'm sharing with my 2 friends, which is Colin and Mariah. Mariah was my roommate last year, and Colin was just a friend that I've had for a while too, but Mariah I've known since high school and the last year of middle school. That apartment building has given me more problems than I'd like to share, and the landlords suck. So if anyone isn't around this area, do not rent with Gearhart Rentals. That is all I'm going to say for right now. So we have our own place, and this is where the pipe burst, like 2 floors above us, but it came rushing through the ceiling, and our ceiling fell. And that's the video that you saw that we last uploaded. And Antwaine, Kyle, Keenan, and David came and helped us. And Colin was told that our roof collapsed. So he called me and told me that the roof collapsed, so I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh. So I showed up, and my friend Ada gave me a ride. And I looked, and it didn't look like it collapsed. I went inside, and the water was rushing down. The entryway was completely drenched. And luckily, like, the only thing that got damaged was the futon, our dining room chairs, and then 2 other chairs. Luckily, Colin's TV or games didn't get ruined, which would have been horrible. So we were stressing out, and our landlords never pick up, but I don't know if the policeman went to their door or if the police called them, but they picked up for them, surprisingly enough. And they put us in a hotel room for 2 days and then made us go back, even though the carpet was still wet, and we're still in the midst of trying to get recompensation, or compensation, not recompensation, but right now it's not looking good. So everyone is helping me and Colin take our stuff into the laundry room, and I was holding it together for a while, and then I was already having a stressful day of classes, and then Colin told me about the pipe burst, and after I got my stuff moved, I just couldn't handle it anymore. And the towel fell to the ground, and I just started crying. And now I was called upon the New Jersey court to take part in being a jury. But obviously I'm not in New Jersey. So they said if I don't give the right information and all that jazz, they can hold me in contempt of court. So they didn't really have a thing that said, oh, you're out of state or whatever, but they had an alternate date thing, so I put that down, and hoping that they'll either wait and not put me behind bars. Well, thank you for listening, guys, and I hope you enjoyed my life story, even though it's very abridged. Thanks for watching.